I'm Ankit Bhatnagar and I'm representing Shubhavni Smartfarms today. So, I will be talking about indoor saffron cultivation. So, we are an official startup which is recognized by DPIIT and listed under Startup India Agri-Tech Startups. So, so moving on, like what we are trying to do at Shubhavni Smart Farms, like we are trying to transform the traditional way of saffron cultivation. So we are leveraging technology to try and grow it under control conditions. So we have tried to understand the challenges that are being faced by saffron growers in the traditional way of farming. So accordingly, we have worked out a method like which overcomes those constraints and also allows us to get better productivity in smaller areas. So there's a huge demand and supply gap with respect to saffron, and our vision is like how we can bridge that demand and supply gap at the same time make India self-reliant for saffron production and at the same time empower fellow growers who are trying to cultivate saffron either indoor or in the fields in Kashmir. Moving on, like there are many challenges, or I would say problems, which are faced by saffron industry, current industry. And if you look at this slide, like I have tried to capture some of them, which I feel are the most important ones. So the main thing is like it's a huge opportunity. There is a huge demand, but the supply is very limited. Like if you can look at my slide, the demand for in India is almost around 100 metric ton. That is per year. And the production what we have when the harvest is good in Kashmir is approximately around 16 metric tons. So there's a huge deficit or void. So this itself make it a uh, it shows that there's an opportunity if we start growing saffron again. Like it is the costliest spice in the world. The other thing what we have realized is that even in parts of Jammu and Kashmir, saffron cultivation is limited to very few areas like Pampur, little bit in Kishtwar, but not everywhere in Kashmir. So it is very much dependent on geographical and climatic conditions. So due to it, like it is not happening anywhere else in Kashmir as well at a major scale. So it's being cultivated primarily in Pampur. Then the saffron, what we get many a times there is a question on the quality, like whether we are getting pure saffron or we are getting top quality saffron or not. There's a lot of adulteration that happens in saffron industry, considering the price of the spice at the same time, like the demand and supply gap. So to meet our demands in India, like we have to rely on countries like Iran and Afghanistan because there's a huge demand supply gap and majority of saffron what we produce in Kashmir is being exported to multiple countries. So what we typically get in market is either Irani or Afghani saffron, at times Kashmiri saffron as well. But due to the huge demand supply gap, there's a huge void. Moving on to the next point, which is again a major one, arable land. So like we have been going through some researches which were happening, and it is very evident that the cultivable land in Kashmir is been reducing very fast due to multiple factors. And that is again one reason which is contributing to the limited saffron cultivation. So also the water that we need in traditional farming is considerably more because we are talking about huge area in thousands of hectares. So the last, but not the least, major problem what we see with traditional saffron cultivation is soil-borne diseases and the use of pesticides. So though those are the main areas like for what we see, the challenges which are faced by multiple saffron growers. So now we have discussed about like the problems or the challenges, but how can we solve that? So the solution is like we need to see like how in 2024 how we can start leveraging technology and use of modern farming techniques to not only cultivate it outside of Kashmir, uh, but to grow it to make sure that how we can ensure the quality as well. The solution is by using aeroponic saffron cultivation. So we will be using, or I would say we are using aeroponic technology to cultivate saffron under controlled conditions. Uh, and when I say aeroponic technology for saffron cultivation, what I mean by it is like we are not using any substrate or medium. So the farming that we are doing is soil free, and we are not using water. So we are doing it, placing the saffron bulbs under controlled conditions and modifying those conditions by providing the required mist, humidity, and in a vertical setting. That is how we do aeroponic saffron cultivation at a very high level. Like we will have like a cold room, and I will be walking you through the infrastructure requirements for this kind of farming. But we are not using any soil or any water. Only thing that we are using is maintaining the climatic conditions, providing the right amount of humidity in form of mist, and then controlling the carbon dioxide and fresh air levels, also the intensity of light. So that is how we use technology. And the sensors what we have used are all IoT enabled sensors. So it allows us to either automate or control it from like our smartphone or our laptop. So moving on, like I would like to talk about the infrastructure requirements because uh, the the technology what I have mentioned, aeroponic technology for saffron. And saffron is basically a cold weather crop. That is the main reason it happens only in parts of Kashmir. So for that, like we need to have create this infrastructure. And for that, we need to create a Kesar cold room. So when I say Kesar cold room, like it's a multi-purpose cold room. And in our case, we are using it for saffron or Kesar farming. So it's a miniature of a cold storage, or you can say small cold storage chamber, which we have created. And the kind of devices what we have installed inside the cold room are chillers for maintaining the temperatures. Then we have installed puff panels on the walls, ceilings. It's basically for insulation. When I talk about puff panels, it's the like the foam is foam of even density is sandwiched between GI sheets. So these panels act as the insulation, like because we are doing it in UP, Uttar Pradesh, which is like we experience extreme summers, and recently like the temperatures have crossed 49 degrees. So these puff panels helps us to prevent any heat loss, or like even if the outside temperature is around 49 degrees, it doesn't matter. Like we can, because of the insulation, we are able to maintain the temperatures. Then we need humidifiers to maintain the right amount of humidity inside the room, because we won't be using any soil or any direct spraying of water on saffron bulbs. So what we will be doing is we will be maintaining the right humidity levels by using the humidifier. Along with that, we will need multiple sensors for like sensors and controllers for maintaining the temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide, light levels. So all of those kind of things are needed, and I have tried to club those under Kesar cold room. This is the primary requirement for doing aeroponic saffron cultivation. The next one, if I talk about, is the racks. So as I talked earlier, that it needs to be in a vertical setting to make the most of our space. So we would need racks. It can be normal angle racks, iron angle racks, or it can be slotted angle racks, or it can be constructed using multiple other materials. So what we have used is slotted angle racks, and we have done around 6 levels in each of the rows. The next one is wooden trays. So this is very important. Like we need to make sure that we are using wooden trays instead of plastic trays, because like wooden trays can act as like, because we are maintaining the right amount of humidity. So it helps when we are using wooden trays, because seeds are directly placed on wooden trays. So we need to create wooden trays. It can be any kind of wood. It can be of mango wood, it can be shisham, teak, or mirandi. So it depends based on the availability in your region. So what we have used is the mix of shisham, teak, and mirandi in our trays. So these trays needs to be like, there needs to be some spacing between the bottom of these trays to prevent the airflow. Then we require electricity and light, because that is, I feel, one of the very important thing. So you can either use normal LED lights, or you can use grow lights. So what we have used is normal LED lights, because these are full spectrum LED lights, and we have to control the intensity, because what we are trying to do is, we are trying to create the conditions that are there in Kashmir. So it's very important that we install dimmers along with the LED lights, because we have to control the light intensity as well. So though those are the things on the electricity things, the most important thing is seeds. We need saffron bulbs from Kashmir, or I would say specifically from Pampur. We need to procure good quality saffron bulbs. Uh, and the best way to do that is, I always prefer that a person should visit Pampur and interact with farmers to understand more about saffron bulbs. At the same time, like procure it directly from the farmers. Like then we also need, there's a need for RO water purifier. So the instead of using the normal tap water, we would prefer to use RO water as an input for our humidifier, because that will prevent scaling and other things, and it will increase the life of humidifier. So we are using RO water purifier, and it is acting as an input for humidifier. Along with that, we also need some farm space. Uh, I will explain the reason, like because the saffron bulbs we purchase is a one-time purchase, because we can multiply or increase the weight of these saffron bulbs by putting them in soil after the harvest is done. So these saffron bulbs, what I can say from my experience, multiply approximately up to 30 to 40% per year. So this is a very critical aspect, seed multiplication or bulb multiplication. And for that, I always prefer to do it in open space instead of a closed control environment room, because that allows us a lot more things. So these were the main infrastructure requirements. Like the main one, if I talk about, are the Kesar cold room or a normal cold room and seats. Apart from that, we require racks, wooden trays, light fittings can be LED or grow lights. And the mandatory thing is we need some farm space as well for seed plantation after the harvest is done. Okay. So I talked about the infrastructure, and now I will talk about a high-level process, like how this happens. So the image that you see in the slide, and under a phone, like this is a real saffron bulb, and you can see a small white bud coming out of it. So it is approximately like around 17 days after we have placed this bulb. So this is a real picture, and saffron bulb looks like this. So it looks like a garlic pod or something like that, and it's very small in size. Like it weighs between 4 gram to somewhere around 25 to 30 grams. So anything above 8 gram like has a potential to flower in the same year. Okay, so now I will talk about at a high level like how the process works. So initially, like saffron bulb management is the most important thing because during this we need to take care of the bulb procurement from Kashmir. Then we also need to transport these bulbs to our location. And I would say that instead of using plastic bags, we should use jute bags for transportation because those bags are breathable and will avoid any damage to saffron bulbs. So seed procurement and transportation is one thing, and once we receive the seeds, we need to do the aeration for approximately 2 days. So we need to lay these bulbs in an open warehouse or an open room. It should not be directly exposed to sunlight, but should be a well ventilated space. So we can leave it for 2 days to so we can dry out any excess moisture that it might have gained during the transportation. And once that is done, like the next step is like it's a silvering. So what exactly is silvering? So there are multiple layers of on the saffron bulb. So we need to remove the extra layers, but we need to make sure that we are not removing all the layers from the saffron bulb because we need to have these layers. We need to remove these layers. Basically, like if there are more layers in place, when we plant these saffron bulbs in the controlled environment in a cold room, the humidity or the mist might not be able to reach the actual bulb because of too many layers. So that is the reason like we will only keep minimum layers, one or two layers, and remove all the extra layers. But we need to also account for that we should not remove all these layers. So it's very important aspect, and that those are the main things under saffron bulb management. There is also another step like which is fungal treatment in case any seed is affected by any sort of fungus attack. We can treat it using neem oil and other things, and then place it. But that needs to be done only for affected seeds. The second thing is like we next step is like we need to start placing these bulbs in the control environment. After silvering is done, we will start placing these seeds in the wooden trays and then start moving them in the controlled environment in the cold room. So once the uh, placement is complete, because it might take some time, so we will maintain the same conditions. So all the bulbs get habitual that they are now getting into uh, sprouting and other kind of a stage, and they are started to receive the temperatures what we want them to. Then the main thing comes the point number three, where we have to monitor and modify climatic conditions. So these conditions are dependent on like what is the stage of the saffron bulb, and the primary conditions that we need to more like modify are temperature, humidity, light, carbon dioxide, fresh air, all these kind of things we can control and monitor. And according to these stages, like we will continue this for next 2 to 3 months based on these stages, like if it is sprouting or if it is ready for flowering or it's flowering. So we will modify these conditions. So once like it's a 3 to 4 month cycle, and around 2.5 to 3 months of being in this process, we can start noticing that some of the higher weight bulbs will start flowering. and the smaller or medium weight bulbs will follow on. So that is when the flowering process starts. And along with that, in this process, we need to harvest the saffron flower. We need to extract the saffron threads, the other saffron, other parts of the saffron flower, and dry those things separately. So in this process, point number four, like harvesting is one of the most important thing, because we are harvesting saffron from the flowers. We are drying it. We are also harvesting other parts of the saffron flower, like the flower petals or the kesar patti, which is a yellow uh, strand. Like there are three strands of kesar patti as well. So all these things needs to be dried separately. So once the drying is completed, like we don't use any industrial dryers, or we dry it again in well ventilated room, not under direct sunlight. So once the drying is complete, and then we can pack the saffron strands in either into directly into the packaging that we want to uh, use for our selling, or we can do it in the glass bottles. So, but the bottles or the container needs to be airtight one. That is very important to make sure that the shelf life is like we are able to keep it for a couple of years. And as and when we are getting orders, we can start packing in the small jars and selling it. After this, like by the time we reach point five, you would have seen that more or less our harvesting is done. Like harvesting typically continues for approximately 3 to 4 weeks. Then we need to make sure that we are preparing our soil for moving the saffron bulbs for propagation. Because during propagation, what will happen is they will start gaining some bulbs will start gaining weight, some bulbs will start to reproduce, multiply, and get ready for the next cycle. So that is how like the overall flow or the process looks like. And this all things like point number 1 to 4 is happening, or I would say point number 1 to 3, and flowering is happening under cold room. The processing of saffron stigmas are done outside of the cold room, but the farm space under the infrastructure requirements, what I have mentioned, is for point number 6. So I hope I was able to explain the high level process for indoor saffron farming, how we do it here. And now I've talked about this, and let's see like what are the benefits if we do this. If we follow aeroponic saffron cultivation method, like these are the benefits for what we feel are there. So first thing, like in the challenges, we have mentioned about the demand supply gap. So we can take some small steps towards bridging that demand supply gap. So that is one of the most important thing, and that is the area where the opportunities lie for expanding it in under a viable business option. Next thing is like the during the 4 months, like it gives us some opportunities to provide some employment for the women from rural India. So why I say women, like it can be males as well, but I feel that the kind of work that is involved, like women are the best suited person, and they do these kind of things like peeling off a garlic or other things, or cleaning the vegetables and all those kind of things. They are very fast with that. So I feel they are the perfect people to hire for these kind of things. So we can definitely contribute with some sort of temporary employment opportunities. By using this technology, it can be cultivated anywhere in India, because we are able to control the temperatures and the conditions. So like the limitation of geographical and climatic dependencies is no longer applicable if we are using this technology. The cold room, what we have created for like Kesar or saffron farming, is reusable, because the it's a multi-purpose cold room, and we all know that um, approximately 40+% of food is wasted because of the lack of cold storage facilities. So there are a good number of use cases where we can reutilize our infrastructure for the rest of the year. At the same time, like it can like be used as cold storage facilities or cold rooms or mushroom cultivation or for any other thing. So there are like the infrastructure is reusable and we can take some decent earnings from the infrastructure for the rest of the year. So talking about the reduced footprint. So what we did in 560 square feet cold room. Our setup is currently the largest setup for indoor saffron cultivation. So we have planted approximately 2000 kgs of saffron bulb in a 560 square feet cold room. If I was doing it in open space, in open farm in Kashmir, I would have ended up consuming more than 1.5 acres of space. So that is the power of vertical farming. Like just imagine 560 square feet compared to 1 acre or 1 acre plus land. And also consider like if we have to water a 1 acre field, the amount of water that we will be using. But in this 560 square feet, like it's hardly 4 to 5 liters per day, which is being used by humidifier. So like we are saving a big time on land at the same time on water as well. Talking about the quality, this is the most important aspect and it drives like the value that we can command from our harvest. So as we are not using any sort of pesticides, we are preventing any soil-borne diseases because we are not using soil. Uh, we are protecting our crop from natural calamities or excessive rain or any other like animals, all those kind of things. If we look at the factors in the open area, like there's a lot of dust due to construction, cement, dust, and all those kind of things. So we are protecting our crop from all of these things. So due to these reasons, like the harvest quantity and quality, both are on the higher side. And like I feel that people who have used the saffron which was produced indoors have reached out to us and mentioned about the quality. So if you look at the screen, like these are some of the pictures from our indoor farm. This is a 560 square feet rectangular cold room. And the lady you can see is my mother, Mrs. Shubha Bhatnagar, who is leading this initiative of indoor saffron farming. And you can see the beautiful saffron flowers blooming in the entire room. And we were able to harvest somewhere around 2 kgs of dried saffron. So those were the high level things with respect to indoor saffron farming. In case you feel that you need more details or the technicalities, how it can be done, you can get in touch with us on the number. This number is on WhatsApp as well, 8218 444 545. We have also like we are also on Instagram. So to gather more updates, like what is the latest on Shubhavni Smart Farms, you can follow us on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel as well, and there are a couple of videos which shows like how this kind of farming is being done, different stages. So it can provide you a glimpse of that, or you can contact us via our website, shubhavni.com as well. So those were the things that I wanted to share. And in case if anyone has any queries, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ankit, for the presentation. So, first, I'll check with Mr. Joseph if you'd like to ask any question.
Hello.
Mr. Joseph, yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you, Mrs. Rajani. Thank you, Mr. Ankit, for a very nice presentation. There are two things that I want to clarify. One is the correct source of seeds. Okay.
Mhm.
And second, if we start this, say, in a place like a colder region of Karnataka, like
Mhm.
Chikmagalur or some other hilly region, and what will be the cost and what will be the minimum profit and what will be the waiting period for this such a project?
So
Have you got any figures, please?
yes. So I will explain you few more things. So if you want to do it in Karnataka, you want to do it in controlled environment or in the colder, in an open space?
Yeah, both controlled environment and as well as in colder places like hills of Hassan, Chikmagalur, or
So in
Shimoga.
in
These three.
hills of Chikmagalur and Shimoga, it might not be possible because the climatic conditions are very different from Kashmir if we are looking in the open cultivation.
Okay.
Okay, but you can definitely do it with in control environment.
Yeah.
So if you are looking at a 500 square feet room,
Yeah.
like I'm talking about an average commercially viable room,
Yes.
because I only want to make a point with respect to commercially viable investment. So if we are talking about a 500 square feet room, we can expect we can be in profit from third year or maximum by fourth year, because the
Okay.
initially cost is for cold room construction and for seed procurement. So those are the two major costs. But
Yeah.
if we are looking at exporting our produce, okay, then
Yes.
we can even it out in a matter of 2 years as well.
So
Okay.
what will be the approximate cost for a 500 square feet?
So like we ended up spending around 27 lakhs for 560 square feet. We have gone with Blue Star, which is, I would say, A-listed cold room manufacturers. But if we would have gone with any of the regional vendors, the cost would have been somewhere around 22 lakhs for in the first year. So for cold room and seats and all those kind of things. So I'm telling you the combined cost that we ended up. So
Okay.
that is what it looks like. It depends on different factors based on the area, the height, and other things. So the cost for cold room, like the best people will be the vendors who are creating the cold rooms. But just you can use my numbers as reference, because we bought 2000 kg seats as well. We have created a 560 square feet room, racks, trays, and all those kind of things. So we ended up with 27 lakhs in first year. From second year onwards, what happens in this is the beauty of this is like it's one time capital expenditure, but from second year onwards, we only need to have operational expenditures because we have the seats, we have the infrastructure. So only thing that what we need to be worrying about is the expenses for electricity, the expenses for labor, and any marketing or packaging costs that we incur. So those are the major expenses from going forward. So it significantly comes down. So if I talk about the operational expenses from for us for the second year, I don't expect it to be more than 1.5 lakhs per year. If I'm only talking about saffron farming.
Okay. What about the seed source? Is it a good, reliable source? And will they help us
So
if
for
the farmer
seeds,
is interested?
for seeds, like we should always purchase it directly from farmers. Okay, and I will tell you the reason. Because what happens is like when farmers sell their produce,
Yes.
they sell it to businessmen, like or the middlemen, and then they either export it or sell it to different companies. So what farmers in the what farmer actually get is the very bare minimum price, even less than the wholesale rate in the market.
Okay.
Okay. So when we went to Kashmir, we found out that many farmers have expressed interest to sell their seeds directly to us because they were getting a decent money directly from us, which
Okay.
they would not have got otherwise if they sell their final produce as well. So that is the one reason why I mentioned like we should always go and procure it directly from Kashmir because we need it only one time. So it's worth a visit. And when we went, we learned a lot of things from farmers uh, with respect to traditional farming. And that is when we were able to relate a lot of our logics, like how we need to do different things, like why it is done like this and why we should do this. So that was like I would say a turning point for us.
So any subsidy is available and by which government?
So
It's central.
subsidies would be available for cold room construction
For?
and for cold room construction.
Okay, okay.
So in almost, I would say, all these states, there is a subsidy for cold room construction. The exact amount of subsidy you would need to check with the CA in your region, who should be able to help you out.
That's the
With the,
horticulture department. Is it?
basically, yes, horticulture department or
Yeah.
a CA can also help because they can tell you like how the project report should be done.
Okay,
In our place, like it's around 35%.
okay. Okay, Mr. Bhatnagar, thank you very much. If any farmer is interested, we will put him on to you.
Sure,
Thank
sure,
you.
Mr. Yusuf.
Okay. Okay. So the first question is, what are the key benefits of indoor saffron farming compared to traditional outdoor methods?
So key benefits is like it can be done anywhere in India. Traditional method, like we have a limitation on geographical and climatical dependencies. So it happens only in parts of Kashmir, not everywhere in Kashmir as well. But with indoor method, you can do it anywhere in India or even abroad. Then the land usage is significantly lesser. Like I talked about 560 square feet room for planting 2000 kg seeds. Uh, if I would have done it in open space, I would have ended up with at least an acre of land. Then the reduction in the water consumption. The quality is, you can call it as an organic one. We don't have an organic certification, but we are not using any pesticides. We are protecting our crop from natural calamities, excessive rains, from pests or soil-borne diseases, or pesticides, animals. So all those kind of things. Plus, like if you might have realized that due to global warming, the temperatures have started increasing, and Kashmir is also part of that. So what we are creating are the optimal conditions, which are in fact better than the natural conditions because every year the harvest is not that great in Kashmir. So the conditions what we use in indoor saffron farming are the ones where we have seen that the harvest was good and climatic conditions were replicated for those years. So it's more like you are giving more optimal climate or more optimal conditions and doing it in a protected environment. So does that answer your query?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Next question. What are the essential environmental conditions required for successful indoor saffron cultivation?
Okay. So for that, like there are like it varies because what happens is like when we are planting the seeds in the room or placing the seeds in the room, that time it will be very different. But when we start seeing that sprouts are coming out and budding is happening, so the conditions will be modified. We will start decreasing the temperatures because as we move towards the to in the year towards winter, the temperatures start coming down. Again, like as we reach out to flowering, like probably around 3 months in the cycle, the temperatures will again start going down. There is a good number of charts that we have prepared. And in case if anyone is interested, they can definitely reach out to us over the phone or via Instagram. And we should be able to help them with in case they are interested in the setup with all the details.
Okay. And how can farmers optimize light exposure for saffron plants grown indoors?
So I will tell you. So if you look at it in this, we have mentioned electricity and light fittings, and I have mentioned dimmers. So these dimmers are being used to reduce the intensity of light. And so people can accordingly modify the exposure to light and control it using these dimmers. And the amount of intensity of light that we need to provide to these plants, we can help anyone interested uh, in that according to different stages along with the climatic conditions.
What are the recommended soil or substrate options for indoor saffron farming?
So we don't need a substrate for indoor saffron farming. So these saffron bulbs are placed directly on wooden trays. So we don't use soil, coco pit, nothing. So, but when we are planting our seeds in the open space for propagation or for multiplication, that time we need to create a soil. Like we need to create proper soil, which needs to be, I would say, suitable for multiplication. So it needs to be a mixture of normal clay, river sand, and cow dung or vermicompost. No pesticides.
And what is the ideal irrigation system for indoor saffron cultivation, and how can water usage be optimized?
So water, we are not using water directly. We are using water using humidifier. And as an input source, we are using RO water purifier, which will be uh, acting as an input for humidifier. So humidifier will be converting the water into in form of mist to create the required humidity. We are not doing any direct spraying of water inside control environment.
Okay.
So this is soil free and water free. I wouldn't say water free, but soil free and no water spraying. So water is used in terms of to create the required humidity levels,
Okay.
but no direct spraying.
Okay. What are the typical challenges faced by farmers in indoor saffron farming, and how can they be overcome?
In indoor saffron farming, the main challenge that people will face is with respect to maintaining the right conditions, because that those conditions are not easily available. So if those conditions are available, then it can be very easily done. Second thing is, like, we, as it is done under control environment, we need to make sure that the access is limited to that area. We should not be allowing all the people, because as if more people are coming in, then there are chances of dust or other insects or anything coming inside. So we need to prevent those kind of things. Third thing is, like, as we are doing it indoor, the advantage is, like, we have the seeds or saffron bulbs which are visible to us. So in case there is any infection or any fungal attack happening, it can be very easily noticed. Which in case if we are doing in traditional farming, we might not be able to see until the bud pops out from the ground, because everything has happened below ground. So in the soil. So we are not seeing what is happening inside that. But here we can see, and when we are going for daily monitoring, we can very easily identify if there is any sort of fungal attack. We can just take that seed out, treat it, and then place it back. So that risk is very minimal. The main thing is monitoring and the right set of understanding or knowledge that is required. Why, if I'm doing something, why I am doing it, what are the exact conditions that I need to create which are optimal. If people are aware about it with proper monitoring, they should be able to do it.
Okay.
So
And
we have, like, in case if anyone is interested, we do have a program uh, where we do personalized consultation with anyone who is looking for a commercial setup. So where we guide them, like, through different stages, different climatic conditions, how to multiply the seeds, what are the different seed processing things, how do we do it, all those kind of things. Plus, we also handhold them for the first harvest. In case they are facing any challenges, they can reach out to us over WhatsApp, like share the videos, what they are experiencing, and then we can help them or guide them with the correct way of doing things.
okay. And what are the most effective pest and disease management strategies for indoor saffron farming?
Can you please repeat the question?
What are the most effective pest and disease management strategies?
So, ma'am, in this, we are not having any kind of soil. So, we don't need any of those strategies. Only thing is, like, during the regular monitoring, if we see there is any fungal attack on some seeds, then we need to take those seeds out and we need to use neem oil for treating them and then place them in a different tray. So those are the only things that we need to take care of. When moving them in the soil, we need to make sure that the soil that we are using is proper and is of good quality soil. So that is one thing which we need to ensure. And we also need to ensure that we are not using any pesticides to maintain the health of the soil. Anything that we are using is either vermicompost or cow dung, which is 2 years old, I would say cow dung. And that is working well. Like it is working well. We can see a rate of approximately more than 30% increase in the multiplication as well. So I feel that we don't need a specific pest management strategy for controlled environment because it's all inside. Only thing is like we need to maintain the access to that area. Only few people should be accessing it and they need to be washing their hands and then going inside.
Yeah. How can farmers ensure proper ventilation and airflow in indoor saffron growing facilities?
Ma'am, like I've mentioned that we will be using like sensors and controllers because exiting like because these plants emit carbon dioxide. So we need to make sure that carbon dioxide is getting out of the room and fresh air is coming in. So for that, we have installed sensors and controllers as well. At the same time, we have installed automated dampers. As soon as the levels that we have set are exceeded, these dampers will start exhaling exhaling CO2 and inhaling fresh air. So those kind of things can be managed by leveraging automation and using
Okay.
dampers.
Okay. And what are the expected yield and harvest timelines for saffron grown indoors?
Ma'am, seeds needs to be planted, saffron bulbs needs to be placed in inside the controlled environment in August, and we can expect the harvest by mid-November.
Okay. And are there any specific training or education programs available for farmers interested in indoor saffron farming techniques?
Ma'am, we have one consultation program. Like it's not kind of a training program. We don't run any batches. We do it personalized. It is one-on-one. So if a person is interested, they can reach out to us on the phone number mentioned on the screen, and we should be able to guide them with all the required details, uh, help them with all the infrastructure requirements, the exact specifications that they need, which will help them in uh, talking with the vendors who create cold rooms. Because what typically happens is if I tell you that the insulation of 60 will work for your room or your area, like the vendors might try to sell you 80 or 100 because that gives them some more profit. So we can guide you with respect to setup requirements, the technical details, how to do it, why to do these kind of things, and most importantly, seed multiplication.
Okay. So before we end, one last question. Please let us know a little about your career background and what made you to take an interest in this subject.
Okay, so this is the initiative of my mother Shubha Bhatnagar. She is 63 years old, and so this is her brainchild. Um, and she wanted to do something for rural women in India because she has been associated with them from many years and has been trying to help her in the capacity that was available at that time. So she shortlisted two things like doing mushroom and doing saffron farming. So this seems a little bit more challenging to her, and then she thought that it can be a business opportunity as well. So that is how it all started. And so all the staff that we are engaging are women from rural India, and there are around 22 women who are associated with us. And so saffron farming is only for 4 months, but for rest of the year we are able to leverage them like in our cold storage or the other use that we do with our cold room for saffron. So that is how it all started. And I'm just trying to help my mother in achieving her dream to empower women and to transform saffron cultivation. So if you ask me about my background, I'm from an engineering background, and I'm overlooking all the technical aspects with respect to automation or any interactions. So those kind of things, and how we can make or ease out things for her. So those are the things. So we have automated more or less many things in the farm, right from monitoring or controlling the conditions, light, carbon dioxide, fresh air, humidity, temperatures. So all of those things can be done via our smartphone.
Okay. Yeah. Mr. Joseph has posted one message. Thanks for the okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brito. So
You're welcome.
yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Mr.
Mr.
Ankit.
Rajni.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Ankit. So now we have come to end of question round. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we'd like to thank you for a detailed presentation and answering all the questions. And I also like to thank Mr. Brito for asking the questions and joining this meeting. The meeting will now be closed. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Bhatnagar. Thank you.